Assalamu alaikum. I am Afreen Anwar, roll number PP1650012. I belong to group number 2. The topic that I am presenting to you is liver function test, that is abbreviated as LFT. And I will also discuss a case study related to this. Now before discussing the liver function test, let's discuss the basic intro about liver. Liver is the largest and most versatile organ in the body. Versatile in a sense that it can perform more than one functions. For example, secretory function, metabolic function, and excretory functions. It consists of two major lobes, that is left one and the right one. Together, these two lobes weigh around 1400 to 1600 gram in normal adult. The function that liver performs is to synthesize major biological compounds that includes protein, carbohydrates and lipids. It can also produce many enzymes, all fat-soluble vitamins and several water-soluble vitamins too. Now before discussing the liver function test, first we have to clear the concept that why we check liver enzymes in LFT. So the reason is that there are certain conditions in which liver necrosis occur. Liver necrosis is basically the cell death. And there are certain conditions in which liver cytolysis occur. Liver cytolysis is basically the cell breakdown. These two things occur in conditions like hepatitis, cirrhosis and cancer. So in such cases, liver enzyme level elevates, means it increases. So we have to monitor the liver enzymes by LFT. The LFT test includes the first one, ALT, SGPT, as shown in the slide. The second one is AST, which is also known as SGOT. The third one is ALP. Fourth is GGT. Fifth one, total bilirubin. Sixth, total protein and albumin. Seventh one is globulin, and the last one is A to G ratio, which means albumin to globulin ratio. Now we will discuss all these tests one by one. Now coming to the first one, that is ALT, that is abbreviated as ALT and the full form is alanine aminotransferase. It was formerly known as SGPT. SGPT is serum glutamic pyruvate transaminase. The normal value of this ALT in the liver is 0 to 35 units per liter or 0 to 0.58 microcattle per liter. It is primarily present in liver, and to the very lesser extent it is also available in kidney and skeletal muscles, but majorly it is present in liver. So that's why we can say that it is sensitive to liver. As it is a specific enzyme for liver, so this means that the elevation in serum ALT is more specific for liver related injuries and diseases. That's why it is significant in the diagnosis of hepatitis. And ALT concentrations are not significantly increased as a result of an acute myocardial injury. Now coming to the second one, that is AST or SGOT. These two, AST and ALT, are the most common in the diagnosis of liver function test. AST, the full form of AST is aspartate aminotransferase and formerly known as SGOT, means serum glutamic oxaloacetic transaminase. The normal value of AST is also the same as the ALT, that is 0 to 35 units per liter or 0 to 0.58 microcattle per liter. Now it is present in all tissues, especially it is abundant in heart and liver tissues, and moderately it is found in skeletal muscle and pancreas. It is lesser specific to liver as compared to ALT, as ALT is only found majorly in liver, but it is also found in skeletal muscle, pancreas and heart. This AST helps in the diagnosis of acute and chronic stages of liver hepatitis. If there is an acute cellular injury to the heart or liver, this enzyme is released into the blood from the damaged cells. AST determinations have been used to evaluate myocardial injury and to diagnose and assess the prognosis of liver disease resulting from hepatocellular injury. The serum AST level is increased in more than 95% patients after the myocardial injury. But remember, this increase in AST does not occur until 4 to 6 hours after the onset of myocardial injury. When it happens and it is seen after 24 to 36 hours, and it will come back to the normal range in 4 to 5 days approximately. So the magnitude of the peak AST level approximates the extent of myocardial damage. Means this AST level can tell us about the extent of the myocardial damage. Now let's discuss the ALT and AST together. When the doctor recommends a aminotransferase enzyme test or the transaminase test, it means that the doctor wants to know the ALT and AST level. So the lab will perform these two tests. In patients with elevated serum AST values have acute hepatic necrosis. That is either caused by viral hepatitis or it can be caused by hepatotoxin. Hepatotoxin like carbon tetrachloride. In this both, ALT and AST will be increased even before the appearance of clinical symptoms. The clinical symptoms like jaundice. So, ALT and AST serum concentration can be increased 100 times than the usual in the presence of parenchymal liver disease. So the usual upper limits of normal can be increased. In intrahepatic cholestasis, post-hepatic jaundice and cirrhosis patients, we can observe moderate elevation in the AST. We can also observe AST higher than ALT in patients of cirrhosis, and AST is increased about 4 to 5 times greater than the normal upper limit. Normal upper limit, that is 35. Although ALT is relatively more abundantly found in hepatic tissues and cardiac tissues than AST, and it is more specific to liver, still liver contains 3.5 times more AST than ALT. So evaluating the ratio of ALT to AST can be potentially useful. It can be useful in the diagnosis of viral hepatitis too. ALT to AST ratio, if exceeds from 1, it can cause alcoholic cirrhosis, or it can cause chronic liver disease or the hepatic cancer. But if the ALT to AST ratio is less than 1, it tends to observe with viral or acute hepatitis. Serum concentration of both AST and ALT, if increases, then disease processes affect the liver cell structure. So now let's discuss the next enzyme, that is ALP. ALP is abbreviated form and the full name is alkaline phosphatase. The normal value of ALP is 30 to 120 units per liter or 0.5 to 2 microcattle per liter. ALP constitutes a large group of isoenzymes that play important role in the sugar and phosphate transportation. Now these isoenzymes that is present in ALP have different physicochemical properties and can originate from different tissues. The different tissues can be liver, bone, placenta and intestine. In normal adults, ALP is derived from liver and bone. That's why it is used most often in the clinical diagnosis of bone and liver disease. Although only small amount of ALP are present in liver and is excreted into bile, but slight to moderate increase occur in patients with hepatocellular disease, and the most elevation occur in hepatic biliary obstruction. Now, the diseases in which ALP level elevates are the drug-induced cholestatic jaundice can increase serum ALP concentration. The induced cholestasis jaundice can be because of chlorpromazine or sulfonamide, or several other examples you can check. In mild cases of acute liver cell damage, ALP levels are seldomly elevated, and even in cirrhosis, ALP concentrations are variable and depend on the degree of hepatic decompensation and obstruction. Means it can be primarily due to the disruption of biliary caniculi within the liver. Sorry, the slide has been moved. Let me move to the previous slide. Okay. So we were discussing that serum ALP concentrations are variable. Means in cirrhosis, the serum ALP concentrations are variable and they depend on the degree of hepatic decompensation and obstruction. Now the serum ALP is also increased during the period of rapid bone growth, which means in infancy, early childhood and healing bone fractures, and during the pregnancy because of the contributions of placenta and fetal bones. The osteoblasts in bone produce large amount of ALP, and the marked serum elevation can be seen in the diseases like Paget disease, hyperparathyroidism, osteogenic sarcoma and osteoblastic cancer. Also in the metastatic to bone and other conditions of osteoblastic activity. Now let's move to the next enzyme, that is GGT. GGT means gamma glutamyl transferase. Its normal level is 0 to 70 units per liter or 0 to 1.17 microcattle per liter. Although it is found in kidney, liver and pancreas, but its major clinical value is in the evaluation of hepatobiliary disease. However, increased ALP in the presence of normal GGT is more suggestive of muscular or bone-related issues. An increase in the serum concentration of GGT parallels to the increase of ALP in the obstructive jaundice and infiltrative disease of the liver. GGT is one of the most sensitive liver enzymes for identifying biliary obstruction and cholecystitis. Because GGT is a hepatic microsomal enzyme, tissue concentration increases in response to microsomal enzyme. That is due to the induction of alcohol or other drugs. Alcohol and other drugs means other drugs includes like carbamazepine or phenobarbital or phenytoin. As a result, GGT is a sensitive indicator of recent or chronic alcohol exposure. So now let's discuss the next enzyme, that is total bilirubin. Bilirubin can be total bilirubin or direct conjugated bilirubin. If it is total bilirubin, then the normal level in the liver is 0.1 to 1.0 milligram per deciliter or 1.7 to 17.1 micromole per liter, or the conjugated one, the normal level is 0 to 0.2 milligram per deciliter or 0 to 3.4 micromolar per liter. Now the bilirubin color is orange yellow, means it is an orange yellow pigment. We can identify the bilirubin is normal or high by observing the color of serum. When we centrifuge the blood and separate the serum, we can observe its color easily. So we can find whether the bilirubin level is normal or high. Urobilinogen is responsible for the color in the urine and feces. In urine, it is in straw color, and in feces it is in yellowish brown color. If total bilirubin level is increased, it's a sign that either RBC are breaking at usual rate or liver is not breaking down normally and cleaving bilirubin for blood. This means that if RBC is increased, liver is unable to break down, or if RBC is normal but liver is not functioning properly, means in both these two cases the bilirubin level will elevate. Now, bilirubin is primarily a breakdown product of hemoglobin, and as you can see in the metabolism picture of this bilirubin that is shown in the slide, we can see in the step 1 there is reticuloendothelial system. In this reticular endothelial system, bilirubin is formed. Then this bilirubin that is formed in reticular endothelial system, it is transferred into the blood in the second step. Then in the third step, it is bound completely to serum albumin. You can see in the third step that bilirubin is binding with the albumin. In the fourth step, RBC arrive at the cerocidal surface of the cell, and the free fraction is rapidly taken up into the cell. As a result, in the step 5, it is converted into the bilirubin diglucuronamide. You can see in the picture the fifth step that the bilirubin is converted into bilirubin diglucuronide. In the sixth step, a monoglucuronide is also formed that is metabolized predominantly to diglucuronide, and it forms the conjugate, and then it appears in the intestine. Now in the seventh step, bacteria comes and convert most of the bilirubin diglucuronide in the urobilinogen. You can see in the seventh step. Then there are two possible ways. First one, from step 7 directly it goes to step 13, that is majority of the urobilinogen is destroyed or excreted in feces, that is it is called as fecal urobilinogen. Or it can go to the 8th step and the small portion is reabsorbed in the blood. That small portion that is reabsorbed in the blood can go to the 9th step and reabsorbed in the liver. Then in the 10th step, it is either excreted in the urine, that is called as urine bilirubinogen, you can see in the 10th step, or it can be subsequently excreted in the bile in the form of again fecal urobilinogen. Now in the 11th step, in many types of liver diseases, conjugated bilirubinogen is present in increased concentration in blood. When this concentration exceeds 0.2 to 0.4 milligram per deciliter, bilirubin will begin to appear in urine. That happens in 11th step, that is urine bilirubin is formed. So this is the overall metabolism of total bilirubin. Now next enzyme is total protein and albumin. Most serum proteins are produced by liver, that is why it is more specific for liver. It has to be checked in the chronic stages of disease only. It is not checked in the acute stages. And if there is a decrease in protein synthesis, then there will be a decrease in serum albumin, which is showing that these both are indirectly relationship with each other. That is, if serum albumin increase, then the protein increase, and if serum albumin decrease, then the total albumin will also decrease. Now the next one is globulin. Globulin level in the liver is determined by subtracting the total protein level in the liver by albumin level. And the next one is A to G ratio. A to G ratio can be calculated by calculating the ratio of albumin to the globulin. Now coming to the case study, that is our major object in this assignment. Case study comprised of 4 things, that is called as SOAP notes. SOAP notes means subjective, objective, assessment and plan. In subjective, we tell about what the patient is suffering from, what the patient is taking, the medicine the patient is taking, what the patient is feeling, what are the signs the patient are telling, symptoms, and what is the patient age and weight. In objective, we consider all the lab test values that all the lab reports that comes. In assessment, we tell by checking the subjective and objective that what is the real assessment we have done, that what is the real cause and what is the real problem with the patient. And in the last one, that is plan, we tell that what are the interventions that we have to make in order to solve the patient's problem. So let's discuss this case. In this case, there is a 59-year-old female that is currently taking a drug known as atorvastatin, that is a statin, and the dose is 40 milligram daily. And the problem for which she is taking this drug is hypercholesterolemia. But she is complaining of fatigue and myalgia over the past week. Myalgia is the muscle pain and ache. Okay, so she has been suffering and complaining of these two diseases, fatigue and myalgia, from the past week since her last prescription fill. Then we evaluate what is the problem, why she is suffering from these and complaining about these. So we find that she has been taking an incorrect dose. What she was doing is there was a tablet of atorvastatin found in 80 milligram, and she is taking the whole tablet without cutting it in the half, while doctor prescribed it in the 40 milligram dose, and she is taking the whole 80 milligram tablet, means doubling the dose. She is not cutting the dose in half. So the physician immediately asked her to do her LFT test and creatinine kinase test and serum creatinine level, and these are the lab results that occurred and she found. So we have to what's the question of this case study is that why are these laboratory tests of sufficient concern to warrant discontinuation of atorvastatin? Means we have to tell that by checking these lab tests, that why by observing these lab tests we have to discontinue atorvastatin. So let's discuss our case study. As I told you that in subjective we have to tell the main complaint patient is telling and the medicine the patient is taking and the illness and age and weight, etc. So in this case study, the age of the patient is 59 years and her chief complaint is fatigue and myalgia since her last prescription refill. That is because she is taking 80 milligram tablet instead of 40 milligram. The illness for which she is taking the medicine is hypercholesterolemia, and the medicine she is taking is atorvastatin 40 mg daily. Now the objective is all the lab reports that are come. So the first lab report is AST level, that is 51 units per liter, but the normal range is 0 to 35 units per liter, means the AST level is elevated. ALT report shows that 72 units per liter is the ALT level of the patient, but the normal range is 0 to 35 units per liter, so it is also elevated. ALP value is 82 units per liter and the normal value is 30 to 120 units per liter, means it is in the normal range, so ALP is okay. Serum creatinine level is 216 units per liter, while the normal range is less than 150 units per liter, so means it is elevated. And the serum creatinine level, the normal range is 0.6 to 1.2 milligram per deciliter and it is 1.4 milligram per deciliter, so it is approx to the normal range, so we can't say that it is elevated much. So now we have to come to the assessment. But we have discovered that the patient is taking the incorrect dose, means she has to cut the tablet to the 40 milligram and she is taking the whole 80 milligram tablet of atorvastatin. And atorvastatin is the statin. And what is the property of statin? That statin can cause severe liver diseases because it can badly affect the liver, and it is and the patient is taking the double dose, so it increases the AST and ALT level. So and we have also seen that creatine kinase serum concentration is also increased, that is not in the range of less than 150. But as we can see that if the creatinine clearance is increased 10 times the upper limit of normal, upper limit is 150 here, and if it is increased from the upper limit 10 times, then the myopathy is suspected. And here it is not elevated to 10 times, it is just 216 units per liter. So we can't say that it is an alarming value that is affecting the ALT and AST levels. So the alarming thing that is affecting the ALT and AST is the use of statin only, and it is only affecting the ALT and AST. It is not affecting as much the CK. So we have to control the ALT and AST levels immediately. So what will be our plan? Our plan should be that if there is the absence of jaundice or any other clinical sign and symptom that is patient is not showing, she is only showing the fatigue and myalgia. So we can do that. We have to reduce the dose of atorvastatin, and by reducing the dose, it is sufficient to maintain the LFT to the normal range. So we will only do that, we will reduce the dose of 80 mg to the 40 mg, that we will counsel the patient that she has to take half the tablet rather than taking full 80 milligram tablet. And when she will take 40 milligram tablet, I think that her LFT level should come to the normal. And also we have to monitor this intervention and until her LFT level is stabilized. And if it is after monitoring it is not come to the normal range, then we have to discontinue the atorvastatin too. Also, we should counsel the patient that she should avoid taking high fat and cholesterol food. It is also a part of overall treatment that she should not take high fat and cholesterol food, as it can cause severe side effects. And we should also tell her to avoid large quantities of grapefruit and grapefruit juice, and it can also cause LFT to the severe condition. So that's all about the case study, and thank you so much. My presentation is over.